Have you ever just looked at a common garden plant and thought, there's got to be a deeper story here, right? Hiding in plain sight. Well, today we're doing just that. We're looking at the Tecoma stans Kalama, which you might know as the trumpet bush. And yeah, it's beautiful for sure, but it also holds some really powerful lessons about resilience, about purpose, and about light. So let's kind of dig in and uncover its story together.
And this single line from our source material, man, it just perfectly sets the stage. We're going way beyond the surface here, trying to uncover a message that's literally encoded in its very nature. See, this isn't a plant that just decorates, it declares.
All right, first things first, what are we actually looking at here? Well, just picture these huge, generous clusters of golden trumpet-shaped flowers. They just flare right out, kind of like these tiny heralds, almost perfectly designed to announce joy. They catch the light, they invite life in, and they bloom like crazy during the warmest seasons.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Its identity. We're going to start peeling back the layers here. First, looking at its botanical character, and then we're going to dig into the powerful meaning that's hidden right there inside its name.
All right, let's ground ourselves in some facts first. So it's a multi-stem shrub native to the Americas, but look, check out the key details right here. It needs full sun, it handles low water once it's established, and it's basically a hub for pollinators, bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, you name it. The big takeaway, it doesn't just survive in heat and brightness, it absolutely flourishes. And that right there, that's our first major clue.
Okay, so let's break down that name. The first part, Tecoma, most likely comes from a Nahuatl word. That's the language of the Aztecs. And this is so cool because it roots the plant's identity way back in indigenous history, long before it ever got its modern scientific classification.
Then you've got the second part, stance. This is just simple direct Latin. It means standing. Yep, that's it. So we've got a plant that's described as standing, upright, firm. Definitely keep that in mind.
And now for the final piece of the puzzle, the cultivar name, Kalama. This is such a fascinating word. Depending on the Polynesian language, it can mean flame or torch or even word. Just think about those concepts for a second. Light, guidance, a message.
So let's put it all together. What do we actually get? A standing flame, a standing word, a standing trumpet. I mean, the name itself just paints this incredible picture, right? A message that stands upright, totally visible and vibrant. It's just such a powerful metaphor for a faith that isn't hidden away, but is steady and luminous for all to see.
Okay, so let's see how this all builds. Because the plant isn't just some static symbol. It plays a really active role. That trumpet shape, it's not just some accidental, pretty design. No, it's a form of communication. It's a functional piece of a much, much larger cooperative system.
And this slide just illustrates that cooperation so beautifully. You see, the flower isn't just standing there looking pretty. It's offering a gift. It's offering nectar. Its bright color isn't just for show. It's a literal invitation. And by accepting that gift, the pollinator carries life forward. It's this perfect, silent conversation of giving and receiving, and it makes sure that life multiplies.
And this brings us right back to that trumpet shape. Because in a lot of spiritual traditions, especially in scripture, the trumpet is a super powerful symbol. It is not subtle. It announces, it gathers, it awakens people and calls them to attention. And this plant, in its own quiet way, blooms in that exact same language of proclamation.
So, okay, if this plant is a declaration, then what exactly is it declaring? Well, our source material finds three really distinct life lessons, three parables, you could say, that we can learn directly from its nature. And lesson number one, it comes from the plant's most fundamental need. It's the lesson of light. Look, it's pretty simple. This shrub needs full sun. Put it in the shade, and it just stops flowering. And the life lesson here is just as direct. Flourishing, that true spiritual blooming. It requires being close to light, to truth, to a divine presence. The plant teaches us a very simple rule. Bloom follows illumination.
And of course, this idea is anchored in texts like Psalm 27, which makes that explicit connection between God and the concept of light and salvation. It's really a core metaphor for guidance and for truth.
All right, our second lesson. Now, this one might seem a little counterintuitive at first. It is the lesson of pruning. So you can cut this plant back, and I mean really cut it back firmly. And guess what happens? It comes back stronger, fuller, and with even more blooms than before. Now, in our own lives, pruning can feel like loss, right? Like a reduction.
But this plant offers this amazing quiet parable. Reduction often comes right before multiplication. Discipline actually prepares us for greater fruitfulness.
And this principle is echoed all throughout Scripture. A great example is in John 15, where the idea of pruning is used to describe how a winemaker gets the very best fruit from a vine. It's all about refinement for a greater purpose.
And that brings us to our third and final lesson, and this one is drawn from the plant's most remarkable quality. It's the lesson of heat.
Honestly, this might be the most powerful lesson of all. This plant doesn't just survive the heat, it thrives in it. The very same sun that makes other plants wilt just seems to strengthen this one, making its blooms even brighter. The parallel here is just so clear. Trials, intensity, they don't have to destroy us. They can actually refine us, making our faith stronger and even more beautiful.
And once again, we see this exact metaphor in Scripture, where trials are often compared to a refining fire, something that tests and proves the genuineness of one's faith, making it even more precious in the end.
So when you put all of these pieces together, the name, its cooperative nature, these lessons from light and pruning and heat, what you end up with is something so much more than a plant. You get a living declaration, a call to a certain kind of life.
So here it is. This is the message of the standing trumpet. To stand upright, just like its name suggests. To open wide like its flowers. To give freely, like it gives its nectar. To flourish in the light, right where you are meant to be. And through all of it, let your life announce something greater than yourself.
So we're going to end with this question from the source material, because it really turns everything we've just talked about into a personal challenge. Can we learn from this simple flower? Can we become people whose radiance is steady, whose resilience only deepens our beauty, and whose very presence, like a standing trumpet in the sun, quietly announces hope?